Hi, I'm Brett. Today we've got an update on the Mazda MPS range of cars, and particularly this car is the MPS 6, which is of course the turbo four-wheel drive model. Unfortunately, it's a little bit of sad news about poor service history that we're going to update you so you can learn more about how to look after your Mazda, or more so in the greater scheme of things, your car in general, because this car is a good example of really bad service history, which unfortunately the owner who bought the car less than 6 months ago has suffered as a result of the previous owner. And in fairness to the current owner, he was unaware of it when he bought the car from a second-hand car dealer. And if you come up a little bit closer, I'll get my cameraman, you can see we've got the rocker cover off. We were going to do some repairs on the VVT cam fault and cam chain. As you can see, it's faulty, but that's the least of his problem. See all this horrible black, it almost feels like broken bits of glass, is the build-up of long-term soot as a byproduct of not changing the engine oil regularly. And what has effectively happened is all the oil journals and cam assemblies and the variable cam control is now totally gunked up with this horrible black stuff, which is now completely through the engine, and it's now in a situation where he doesn't have an alternative whereby it has to be fixed, because by pulling the rocker cover off, it's disturbed the inside area where it's connected between the gasket, and the broken pieces of soot are now falling down inside the engine and in the sump, and then when you start the engine, all that broken pieces of carbon and horrible gunk will then go through the oil pressure system, through the oil pump, up through the turbo, do further damage to the turbo, which these cars are very sensitive for as well, and then all through the cam journals, the crankshaft and everything else, and just continue to drive the engine into a horrible mess. Now, you might ask yourself, well, what can be done to stop this from happening? Well, modern day oils have what is typically called a high detergent content, and it's the detergent in the oil that breaks down the build-up of this type of internal leftovers from long-term abuse that is then in the oil when you drain the sump. So if you've got a car that has good quality oil in it, it's regularly lubricating the engine as well as cleaning it as well. So when you drain it, that's why it looks filthy dirty, and you put fresh oil in and it continues to clean it out. The trouble is if you don't change it often enough, and these engines, as per our Mazda technicians, have told me that they're particularly sensitive to it, this is the end result of something that potentially this car may not have had an oil change in part of its historical lifetime of maybe up to 30 to 50,000 kilometres, or maybe 2, 3, 4, maybe 5 years. Possibly the owner has regularly topped the oil up but never changed it internally, so what happens is the oil breaks down, the detergent can't do its job, it won't clean the inside of the engine, and this is the end result. Well, you might want to know, well, what's the solution for this poor owner? Unfortunately, he's faced with a situation now where he bought the car, did a handful of modifications to it to chase more power and performance, some tuning and some other work done by another workshop. Unfortunately, with his own DIY modifications, he didn't achieve the results he wanted. The car ended up getting worse and worse. We brought the car into us for a diagnosis. We heard a typical variable valve timing cam chain rattle fault, which you can do a search on the internet, where we talk about the common problem with this engine. We then booked it in, got the parts, ready to fit it, pulled the rocker cover off, expecting to continue to fit these mechanical improvements to fix the VVT fault, and this is what we found. He's now faced with a situation where we put the rocker cover back on. He's going to either carefully drive it home, knowing he's going to do damage to his engine and block up his turbo even more, or he'll tow it home and either sell the engine and the car for parts, or save up a whole heap of money for effectively at least a major head service. But if he pulls the head off, you'll probably find there will be contamination down in the sump as well, and one of the pistons will have to be removed to check the main bearing journals and the crankshaft and the con rods as well. So there you have it, what you need to know and what you should and shouldn't be doing when you're looking after your car, whether it's a Mazda, Mitsubishi or a Subaru. Regularly change the oil. You might think you're saving money by delaying the oil change, but in actual fact, ultimately you're going to end up costing yourself some money. And with long-term maintenance issues on these technically advanced engines, a simple oil change is cheap insurance for long-term safety, reliability and fuel economy, and as well as performance, because obviously this car would have gone a hell of a lot better and he wouldn't be paying for this part now if the previous owner had looked after this car. So there you have it, the horrible outcome of when you're not looking after a car properly. For more technical information, you can follow us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter and Instagram. I'll put some digital photos linked to this video on our Facebook channel that you can see at the bottom of this video link, that you can see close-ups of just how bad it is. But for now, I'm Brett Middleton. No matter where you are in the world, thanks for watching.